Good afternoon or good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Beautiful friends on Facebook. A big one. I've been tuning in to what's been happening this week in my own life, and also with different themes, hearing on Facebook what people are talking about, writing about, just things that have been popping up, and and also looking at life of why people stay stuck in a state of holding on, or they get stuck in their past, and how people can learn how to let shit go with ease. It's the first thing, it's the last thing that we do, is to let go. When we die, when we leave this earthly plane, we let go, yeah? We breathe out, we exhale, we surrender into everything that is. Good morning, Rahul from India. And to let go can feel scary for a lot of people. To truly let go means being willing to go into some really deep, vulnerable, beautiful, delicious places. When we let go, we get out of our way of having to control something or being able to guide it. We basically surrender to all that is, to allow whatever needs to shift to move through us. Giving birth to two beautiful, healthy boys and the whole birthing experience would be the beginning, really, for me, really understanding the journey of letting go. And for a man to be in presence of that, to witness that, it's a beautiful journey to watch a being in their most primal, most primitive, most vulnerable, most open aspects, to allow a greater force to take over them, to allow divine wisdom to flow through, to allow this beautiful offerings of this letting go, of giving complete surrender. And when I've chatted to people, and this is not about birthing, but it's a really, really good example. And this isn't, people get triggered what I'm about to say. It's not saying that people have had a challenging birthing experience. It has nothing to do with your ability to let go. It may simply be the journey that's happened to teach a lesson, maybe in that, or whatever it is your unique journey, your unique lesson. A lot of people find it hard to let go, to release, to allow that take over them, and they like to control things, they like to have a rigidity, and it's something that we've learned over time, because if we control certain things around us, then we can feel safe, we can feel stable, and we can be unconscious of our desire to control. Going through that with being a parent as well, of noticing with my own children how much I would want to control, how much I would want to protect, and to make things a certain way so they didn't have to experience things. And really in that, it was learning to be there, to hold space, to be present for them, but allow them to learn through the lessons of life, allow them to learn that when they did stumble, they did fall, they actually got back up without me making a really big thing, or that was a way of them learning to let go, to stumble, to fall, to learn how to continue to keep picking ourselves up in life, to not get so rigid with how we think something should be. We may have an experience in life that basically teaches us to get out the way of ourselves, teaches us to get out the way of our rigidity, of how we want things to go. And it's showing us an even really a deeper meaning. It's had a beautiful conversation with a really beautiful soul sister. And, you know, just in conversation, we're just having this really open conversation. And it was just, you know, how sometimes something can come up in life that it doesn't go the way that we want it in that timing. It's not saying it's not something we're not going to explore. Maybe it's simply the timing of all the other components that are in that piece. Maybe there's a bigger picture that that is being shown to us, that is in ourselves of being rigid about how we want it to be, to learn to let go of that and entrust in a bigger divine plan. There may be some bigger reasons of why to let go of what we're wanting to do in that moment because of something else that is coming up, something which serves us on a much deeper level. And so by holding on, when we hold on to something, when we hold on to it and we grasp it and we squeeze it and we pull it in tight, we strangle it, we have this ability to then be able to push away what is trying to come to us. Like a container, our body is a container, and unless we can continue to let go, to release, to allow, to sit in those places of uncomfortability, to sit in those places of resistance, to sit in those places where we get to watch our own control, our own rigidity with loving kindness and compassion, to then allow that to go and allow the situation to be whatever it needs to be. When we can do that, we are learning to become more fluid with life, learning to flow more with life. To flow with life is not about getting caught up in other people's drama and finding yourself going down their river of life. It's about knowing for you also when possibly to let go of that and to then come back to your own path. Does that make sense? There's so many ways that people can learn how to let go. People in society as a whole are very anally retentive. What do I mean by this? Well, they analyze everything. They make everything about meaning something or putting it in a box. So there's this rigidity of how things should be or how things should look or how someone should behave. All these ideas are coming from an outside expectation of how someone else is wanting you to do something. It is based on something that is from an external response. A lot of people are afraid of letting go because they don't want people to see them in their vulnerable state. They don't want to see themselves with their face so contorted, their face in probably the most ugliest expressions to them, of somebody else to see that. This week, I feel, is a really pivotal time coming up to the blood moon this weekend. And I don't know too much about the moon. I just know that I'm very aligned with the moon and I'm very in tune with it. And I guess for myself, this process was on Sunday night and having a beautiful opportunity where I was in the presence of a very strong masculine man and asking him to simply hold me, to not make it mean about anything. I had emotions coming up. I had things coming up. It was old stuff. It was really, really old stuff. And without having any attachment to any story or anything about making it mean anything, it was this beautiful opportunity which was presenting for me to give myself permission to let go and to say to him, simply hold me and tell me it's all okay, it's all okay, it's all okay. That's all he needed to say. You know, often this goes with all of you listening in, tuning in, and I see this so much with men as well, and having to feel they have to put on this bravado, this brave front, this courageous front all the time. And it's beautiful to let down your guard. It's beautiful to be willing to be seen. It's beautiful to go into those vulnerable spaces. To watch a man in that place is fucking sexy. It is raw. Some people may disagree with me, but for a woman to see a man full courage as a brave warrior going down that path, it is humbling, it is beautiful, and I feel really honored to be doing this line of work. Sunday was, when I look back at it now, it was this beautiful opportunity, you know, my head pressed into this beautiful soul's arm, the pit of his elbow, snot dripping everywhere, tears like coming out. That was just like this river of this, not just a little weeping, not just a little, but a really, really deep sobbing. And when you can give yourself permission to release in that way, what you find is you then go from these torrents of these waves of letting go, of giving yourself permission without making it wrong, to completely letting go, to surrendering to to being so open that what happens, these waves of emotions like come up, they get released from the tissue, they get released from the body, and they wash through you and wash over you, and they come out through your throat, your mouth, your the jewels streaming down your face as your tears. And there's no story to it, and it's very, very powerful. And if you've ever been in the presence of somebody doing that, they can go from almost this crazy, wild, primal release to then this drop down into this stillness and this beautiful, still lake. Like there's no movement on the lake. The breath is so still. The breath is so deep under the surface. And then another wave comes up. Another emotion is released. Give yourself permission this week to find a way that you can let go. Give yourself permission to let go. Maybe that means for you going in, putting your head underwater, maybe running the tap in the bath, in the sink, putting your head underwater and screaming, giving yourself permission to let go. Maybe it's also noticing where in your life you've had an argument, you've had a disagreement with somebody, and just learning to let go. Not having to be right, not even having to have an opinion about it. See them where they're coming from, see yourself of where you're coming from, and then ask yourself, does it really have any business here in the now? Does it have any business in this present state of being? Or am I choosing to bring that into the now? And when I choose every time to bring it into this present moment, who is it really harming? Who is it really hurting? It may be creating some pain for the other person, but I guarantee first and foremost, it's going to be the suffering that you feel within. And then there's these walls go up then, you know, when you've been hurt in relationships, whatever it is, this barricade of walls of, well, my heart feels raw, my heart feels broken. I'm going to put up these walls and I will protect myself, whatever it takes. And this hardness and this exterior of when that then person then goes into another relationship, it's like, oh, well, they're already looking for the imperfections in the other person. They're always looking for, they have their fucking list, right? And it's like, oh, well, they need to be this tick. They need to be this tick. Oh, yes. And then they're ticking off these boxes. They're holding on to something that happened in the past, which has nothing to do with the other being right in front of them. And the rigid thinking that they're creating around this, then they're going to create more and more suffering. Or they may attract another soul that is more controlling, that reflects back to them the beautiful teaching of lesson, the opportunity for growth, for insight. And with growth, there comes an aspect of suffering with that, which is beautiful, by the way, to see that they are actually creating it. Everybody lets go here. Our body has these amazing things inbuilt into us. We fart, but yeah, some people get embarrassed by that. Funny story, the other day I was out doing my training in the morning, and yeah, I just let a fart rip, and it was quite funny. And then I walked past this little man, and he must have been in his late 80s, and he let out this juiciest, wettest fart I have ever heard. And you know, years ago I'd have been like, oh, that's disgusting, had an opinion about it, but this time I just like laughed. I was laughing so hard. When I walked past him, he was like, oh, and we just giggled together. And I just said to him, you know what, it's better out than in, let it out. And you know, we need to give each other permission to let go. Other ways of letting go, when you orgasm and you when you give yourself permission to moan, to scream, to shout, to laugh, to express your voice, to clear your throat, to keep this energy channel clear, to let go, to burp, like just now, I just burped. What other ways are to let go? To breathe out, to sigh. To sigh is this like mini relaxation, not a sigh as in it, like rolling your eyes and tutting. That's not letting go, that's holding on to shit. Again, that is your inner resistance or someone else's inner resistance. Is this making sense to people? I'm seeing a lot, because I'm seeing a lot of people going through a lot of suffering. They're going through a lot of inner work, and the inner work is really good, and it's good to go into the inner work, but ease off, be light in it. Know when to dip into it and know when to pull away. Know when to fill up on things, to be playful, to be light about it. See it as when you're going through it as child's play. You're clearing through it so fucking quick. It's just like shit on a shovel. You're not, you know, and if you want to embellish in it, sit in it, wallow it, feel in it, really, really romanticize in the pain of it. Really romanticize in the fucking story of it, of the how bad it was, how horrible it was, how wrong it was, whatever it was. Really, really give your complete and utter attention to that. And see how long, stay there, but not for too long, not for too long. And then do something like scream, jump up, shout, dance, fart, shit. Shitting's another one. When you purge, when you go through and you go on, you know, people go and do journeys, and you know, the body will be forced to purge. It will be forced to bring shit up, to vomit or to shit out of your ass, basically, simply to clear out the channels of the tubes that get blocked, that hold on to all this stuff. You can always tell when someone is holding on and they're rigid in there, they're being inflexible and they've got this rigidity, because they will get constipated. They find it challenging to let go and to allow something to flow through them, to let them go. Or they may have rigid rules around. I've met people like that can't go out and do their business, can't poo in a public toilet. They have to do it in their own home. And I really feel for these people, because I really don't know how they do it, because at the end of the day, when you've got to go, you've got to go, and you want to honor those messages, listen to them. That's the same with emotions. Yes, there are times that there may be times that we need to put an emotion on hold for whatever reason, to be sensitive to another person that's there, or whatever it is. You need to use your wise discernment with that. But so many people, I see it with tears when they are sitting in space with me and they feel vulnerable, and they start feeling emotions come up, and they start feeling this stuff bubbling up. But what I'm feeling this freedom that is bubbling up to come up, to be released, so they can then receive and allow the new flow of energy to flow through them. I hear it with people when they start crying or they get emotional. They apologize. They apologize for being emotional. They apologize for expressing. They apologize for their body simply letting go of a surge of energy that needs to be released in some shape or form. Many men have learned that shouting or getting angry is wrong. Anger is better than depression. Some women have been told this. We've learned it. It's not about going and being in another person's face, but it's learning how to release and unleash that in a really constructive and powerful way. And giving yourself permission to do that. Maybe it's like letting go of something that happened yesterday and asking yourself, well, why am I bringing it into today? Why am I setting my day up with the same thing that I was worried about? And if you're consistently worried about something, we'll take action on it. Go and follow it up, so then there's nothing to worry about. You know either way what's happening. So people find letting go challenging, because with a lot as a society, in some cultures, they've been told to, you know, man up, toughen up, don't show your emotions, put it on hold until you're out the way. Or in a relationship, you don't want the other person to see the pain that you're living in. So when you step away, you go and hide. And you release your emotions away. They never get to see it, because you're too proud or too scared of how they may respond to that. Or you may feel they're judging you, but really, in effect, what you're doing is judging yourself. Emotions can also come up for other things, for joy and gratitude. Letting go of plans of the day. If you have plans with a person and you're really excited about catching up with them, and, you know, stuff comes up. But what tends to happen is people will make it personal. They'll create a story around the person canceling on them, or they will create a story around it from experiences that they've had before. And the beautiful part is that maybe they can't see at the time. The awareness is, well, maybe that's the perfect scenario to see how much you create the story in your own head, when really it could just be something so simple that the person, for whatever reason, has just chosen not to catch up with you. Maybe it's nothing about you. Maybe there's this complete specialness of the way that we think we are, that we think the whole world is around us, and everyone should yield to what we want. Maybe they're also doing their own thing. The more and more we can learn to let go, then the more freedom we feel within. Letting go is not about pointing the finger and placing blame on somebody else to let yourself off the hook. Letting go is about owning what's happened and taking responsibility for that. And then not allowing that which you were holding on to or carrying around to no longer bind you or have a hold on you. I've noticed in life that when I've shared things that I've experienced, and I've noticed that, I've learned as well that suffering and was a beautiful journey, was a vital journey to go through. Some people are holding on to stuff which is so someone may have borrowed something of theirs and they didn't give it back. It hasn't had any impact on them psychologically, physically. But yet it feels to them really, really real. They're creating something bigger than what something really is. And it seems like when people have experienced such deep trauma or such adversity, they seem to then gain an insight to then see, to shift that into something they can grow from. Because to hold on to that becomes more painful. To keep carrying that around gets to a point of, I've done this for long enough, I don't need to do that anymore, I don't need to carry that around anymore. And a lot of people are finding that really, really challenging now, because of what they're holding on to is the identity of what they've created about themselves. But it's not really who they are. It's who they think they are being, or who they've created within their mind from the experiences that they've had. And when you start letting go of that, it's like dying within, because you're letting go of an aspect. And you go through this phase of, well, who the fuck am I? I don't know who I am. And then it's almost like you're relearning to remember who you are. And when people are going through that, they do need support. They need support. They need a community, and they need people around them that understand that have walked that path, alone, to guide them how to do it themselves. But knowing you're there beside them, but you're not carrying them. Breaking free, learning to break free of attachments, of events, even to letting go of attachments to creating a meaning around something. Maybe it's an attachment to an illness or a pain that you have in the body. And some people don't want to let go of that. They don't want to let go of it because it's become a part of who they think they are. It's become a part of their identity. And it's also being such a really powerful time in their life for whatever reasons that they don't want to let go of it. So they will hold on to it and they will protect it at all cost. But again, the more and more they protect it and hold on to it, the more and more that the soul is suffocating on the inside. So then what tends to happen is something else may come along, an event, to maybe stir that up, to give them an opportunity where they can to grow, to learn, to let go, to go on that inward journey of self, to really understand that the suffering that we are creating around ourselves, a lot of it is what we're creating unconsciously of the meaning that we give something. Rather than seeing that suffering is also, it may be, it's that vital piece of the pathway of that person to really know thyself, to know thyself, to go beyond the disease, to go beyond the disorder, to go beyond the pain, and to realize there's so much more than that. Each day, ask yourself, each moment actually, not even each day, each moment, ask yourself, what am I still holding on to? It could be something so simple like a text that you've sent in a drunken stupor, or maybe some pictures, whatever it is. And you know what? It's gone now. It's gone. It's gone. Can't do anything about it. But notice if you're still ruminating over it and going over it and beating over and all of that stuff, learn how to let it go. You know what? Keep breaking free of the past. Keep bringing it back into this present moment. Let go as much as you can and allow what will happen after you give yourself permission, because it needs to be experienced. It's like even when you're in that moment of after Sunday and that beautiful emotional release, I wasn't like a wreck the next day. It was beautiful. It was cleansed. For then the messages that came in that were delivered to me on Monday. And it's interesting, I think, well, I wonder if I, you know, and again, it's that if, but it was there perfectly aligned to give the opportunity to release another layer, to then allow that new stuff to come in on the Monday, and then to bring it into a vision by the Tuesday, into implementing, creating something really beautiful, to then be open to receiving another message that would come the next day on a Wednesday, and then today. And when I rewind and look at that, it's yeah, it's this never-ending beautiful journey, beautiful adventure of to keep letting go, to keep becoming more and more free, to have less rigid hold onto things outside your control, because the only thing you can learn to control, truly learn to control, are your thoughts. And it takes years and years and discipline to learn how to control and choose your thoughts. And even in that, there will be times you can't control your thoughts, but you can learn how to control your breath. Because the breath, it's the first thing you experience. It's the last thing you will ever experience as you let go and you cark it and you leave this physical plane and you go onto your other plane of existence, wherever that is or whatever that is. Who cares? Somewhere in the ether. So notice what you're holding on to, which you actually have no control of, and to attempt to control it, you're actually creating inner suffering within yourself. And letting go of the fact that I have sweat dripping all the way down my body, and it's so freaking stinky hot today, and it's beautiful. I'm using it as a beautiful cleanse for my skin. Go out, be safe. Be really honest with where you're at. And if you are going through a difficult time, if you are going through a real dark place, then reach out to somebody. There's no harm in that. And, you know, give yourself permission to release, to cry, whatever it is, to be held, to be rocked, and know that that's okay. So that's my message for today. Have an epic day, and I will see you soon. Thank you all for tuning in. Much love and gratitude.